Boy, it feels like it's my birthday. Actually, it is in just under a month. Hey, happy birthday to me. Hey everybody, it's Joe the 3D Printing Professor, and PrintAQuest, the 3D printable board game campaign that I've been running on Kickstarter, is now complete. Though I still have a little bit more to do in preparing everything and producing the second expansion for it for you all to get if you backed on the Kickstarter. If you didn't back on the Kickstarter, don't worry, there's still time. Because of late pledges, you can back until the end of the month. However, I really want PrintAQuest to be available to a larger audience, not just people who have a 3D printer or the willingness to put in the time to use it, but I would love to offer physical copies of this to people, which means that either I or somebody else needs to physically print off sets of PrintAQuest. And to fulfill that, a little while back, I went to a print service that offered a very good integration with like Etsy and stuff like that, so that people could order this on demand. Now, at the time, there were aspects of this that I hadn't thought of, like the fact that with most, if you had a single current gen 3D printer, the really fast ones, it's still going to take you like 4 days to print the whole set. And these print services, yes, they have many printers, but that's still a lot of printing to do. However, that wasn't the issue with this particular print farm. The quality just wasn't very good, and it wasn't something that I wanted to represent me. And so I decided that I'm not going to go with that print service. However, as a result of that video, a lot of people came forward to me and said, hey, I'm actually running a print service as well, or I'm going to, and I would be willing to try this out. So I sent these different print services the exact same print that I sent this print company, just so that we can compare apples to apples and see how these other print services do. And I also sent each one of these print services a full set of PrintAQuest and asked them to give me a quote on how much it would cost to print that full set. Now, the current full set of PrintAQuest is actually a little bit more than that. Not much, but enough that it's not exactly the same. And so I didn't want them to print that set. I just wanted them to tell me what it would cost so that I can compare each print service and decide which one to go with. This is a current full set of PrintAQuest. As you can see, it's almost a full kilogram of plastic filling up the box that you get your filament in, and I kind of love that aspect of it. And like I said, if you're printing it yourself, you can absolutely, you get all of this in the Kickstarter set, even the decorations for the box, that you can make this your own. However, I keep ending cuts with however, I need to stop doing that. Let's take a look at some of these print services. And before we look at the ones who have already sent me their samples back, I want to talk about the ones that I started the process of and they didn't even make the cut. So a lot of people were recommending I check out services like JLPCB or JLC3DP or Xometry and things like that. And every one of those services either had an extremely limited number of colors or they were strangely expensive. And by strangely expensive, I mean at least one of these services. The print itself wasn't going to be much. It is just a couple of small prints, but the shipping for it was going to be about $40. Why are they charging so much for shipping? Because they don't have their 3D printers locally. They have their 3D printers in China and they ship them overseas. And that to me kind of defeats the purpose of 3D printing. The whole point of 3D printing is that we can bring the manufacturing closer to where it gets delivered. And we don't have to spend as much on shipping and logistics and all of those things. We just make it where you are and hand it off on a short ship. So yeah, as much as I want to promote these services, and some of these services have come to me in the past and said, hey, we'd like to sponsor your channel and stuff like that. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't go with them because I can say this now. These services aren't great for individuals or small projects because they're printing in China and shipping overseas, and you can find somebody more locally to you to check it out. So first up is a guy with a 3D printer. Not really. He is planning on making a 3D print service out of this, but I'm kind of getting ahead of the curve. So this is Brad Eastman, and I will, put his website in the description. All of these will have their website in the description, but let's take a look at what he sent me. To begin with, I love the wrapping on it. This is extremely well held together, and he in fact went as far as to 3D print a little box that it looked like the print failed as it got to the top, or he stopped it before it got to the top and he just went ahead and used it, which I'm fine with because the box wasn't a part of the print. Let's take a look at this. It looks like he's given me two different colors here. We've got the black and green. Let's take a look at the models here. So comparing them, honestly, acceptable quality. I'm 100% okay with the quality that we're seeing here. This is, this is pretty good. I would let this represent my brand. It looks like a 3D print for sure, but it doesn't look like a bad 3D print. This is pretty good stuff. Let's take a look at the terrain. Honestly, looks good. And the prints are clean. I can tell he used a textured build plate, but the prints are clean. I feel, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't grab any connectors. So let me go grab some connectors and see if I can snap these together. Oh yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Oh, satisfying. Let's put the green on this one. That was a little bit soft, but that's probably my connector. Here we go. Ready? Oh yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Brad, you are definitely in the running. I think you've done a great job with these. Let's move on, shall we? Honestly, I'm super impressed. This is pretty good. All right, next let's take a look at the legendary Tuba guy. Again, link will be in the description. This is one of the first people who contacted me. I believe that this guy has an Etsy store. He sells stuff on his own on the Etsy store. He's got lots of cool stuff on there. But again, he was like, my printers have some downtime. If you want, we can work out a deal. And so, yeah, talk to him about that. Let's see, is there a letter in here? Oh, there is. That just says, hey, thanks for letting me try. 2-walled, 15% infill, 0.16 layer height, which is, yeah, exactly what I expected to go for. And let's take a look. We got the minis first. These are done in gray. Perfectly acceptable. Looks really good. Honestly, solid. Next up is Habiteer Workshop. Let's see how this one goes. That's actually really pretty. Love that. And it shows off some of the things that they are doing. You can check that out. He sent me some magic cards. No, he sent me a magic card. Resin. Oh, okay. Okay, so he's using magic cards in the bag to tell me how he printed each one of these. And yes, I remember him saying he wanted to show me what resin could do. Oh yeah, you can smell those are resin. And versus what FDM printing does. So first, let's take a look at his resin prints. We got a couple of terrain tiles and a couple of minifigures here. So here is a resin mimic. I actually have not done this print, but sure enough, that living hinge does in fact seem to work on it. And I don't see any indication of support. No, I take it back. There are very clearly some supports that have been removed on the inside here to hold up the flat bottom, which is off the build plate. With FDM printing, that's handled by overhang, but with resin, it needs support. In fact, it looks like the whole thing was kind of supported in the air just a little bit, but the hinge works fine, and the teeth look fantastic. Now, my one complaint about resin is that it's going to be real difficult to change colors. Well, I say that, but if I'm not doing the color changes, maybe it's not that big a deal. Let's see how the terrain snaps together. Oh, and the other problem, oh, that's interesting. He put a drain hole in here. So this is actually hollow instead of solid, which is the way. Ooh, those snapping good. I knew that resin can 3D print printed blocks. The connectors, maybe not as well, but the blocks, no problem. There's nothing in the geometry that particularly says that it can't be done with resin. Looking good. I mean, I don't know if I'm really going to consider resin as an option for producing these, but there's no denying, there's no denying that the minis absolutely look fantastic in resin. I mean, the detail, there is definitely more detail in this than there is in FDM printing. So I think it's an option, and it's one that I get to consider now. So I'm looking forward to that. So there's the resin prints. All right, let's see what else we got here. This is ASA. Interesting. I didn't realize he was going to be doing multiple different materials. So this is, it looks like he just printed the terrain in ASA, and he gave me a swamp in that one to say that it's ASA. All right, next one is PETG on a prismatic piper. And again, it's just a terrain. We have some PLA terrain on a scroll shift. I don't know why I enjoy looking at the cards. I do, but let's see how I mean, I know how PLA is going to work. Let's take a look at this. Honestly, it looks better than the PETG. I don't know why the PETG looks more layer liney. I am curious now if all other things being equal, the material affects how well we can see the layer lines. That would be fascinating to me. I know it works for Silk PLA. I know that Silk PLA, with the same settings, makes layer lines look less layery, but I had never considered whether PETG or ASA affects that as well. But good looking terrain. So overall, thank you very much, Habiteer Workshop. You are definitely in the running, and I love those resin prints. I'm gonna look at those a little bit more closely after this. We have a box from a Makerforge. Okay, I'm looking forward to Makerforge. Makerforge is another print service very similar to one that I tried in the past, but somehow Makerforge has flown under my radar. But I definitely recommend, if you have a print job that you want to get printed and you don't have a 3D printer, check out Makerforge. I like what they're doing. I like their site. I like what they got going on. Top notch on this one. These look fantastic. Maybe it's the color of material that they chose, but these look marvelous. Oh, that is a good looking mimic. A little bit of banding on the tongue, but overall you can definitely tell that yeah, that sucker's coming for you. That is a good looking mimic. I'm honestly really super impressed with this one. And it's a company that even if I don't go with, I'm definitely going to recommend people check out in the future. Great job, guys. Love this one. And last but certainly not least is Javeron 3D. This is another one that I think it's just a guy with a 3D printer who wants to run a print farm, and he wants to be a part of this. And I saved this one for last because it looks to me like he ignored the I want a quote for this and just decided to send me like the full set printed out, which again, this is the old set. You know, we got new files now, and they've changed, but I'll be able to do something with this, I'm sure. Let's take a look at it. All right, note. Oh, that's quite a note. Full explanation included in the green container of the small parts printed on a 0.4 nozzle, included in the red and blue container of the parts printed with a 0.2 nozzle. Oh, this will be interesting. Really want to try and see the difference. I'm curious to see the difference as well. I may have gotten the dwarves mixed. We'll find. We'll see if we can tell the difference. That'll be if I can tell which dwarf is which, because there are some fine details on dwarf. We'll see. All the connectors. Oh, you printed connectors too. Well, good on you. That's a little bit more than required. Oh, and also, he's got some flex formers. This is a project that he's been working on, completely unrelated to it. But he's made some 3D printed transformers that print flat, and then you snap a couple of parts together, and then you can put them together. They're very, very loose hinged, as most things that are print in place are. But these chain hinges, it reminds me of a wooden transformer that I saw. Yeah, this for some reason looks like a 3D printed version of that. It's charming and cute. He's also got these fidget rings in here. These are fun. Yet another, oh, an Optimus Prime Flexiformer. Although it's not quite Optimus Prime. It's Optimus Subprime. No, just kidding. Good looking though. I like that. I'll play with that one. All right, so we've got the green container and the blue container, and we've got some connectors here. Now these connectors, I'm going to use his connectors to do the test with. But PETG connectors, I trust they will be fine. These are good looking connectors. They got all the geometry they need. Let's give them the snap test. Well, it wasn't bad. All right. And snap that. Ooh, yeah, that's the stuff. All right, put that in there. A little bit loose there. That was good. And here we go. Oh, yeah. All right, good terrain. We got a color mimic here, so that's that's pretty cool. I'm down. And then we've got these prints. And again, these are supposed to be the ones printed with the 0.4 millimeter nozzle. These are fantastic. 100% down with them. Love them. Let's take a look and see what a 0.2 millimeter nozzle changes. Honestly, I can't, let me see. To my eye, no, I can't deny. There is an improvement on the 0.2. Is it significant enough that I'm like, I recommend people printing a 0.2? No, but is that because I didn't design, like I didn't push the design past what I knew, or much past what I knew a 0.4 nozzle could do? I don't know. Now I've lost track of what, no, that's the 0.4, that's the 0.2. Okay, I can tell the differences. So let's see if I can figure out which dwarf is which. No, this is definitely the 0.2. You didn't mix them up. This is definitely the 0.2 nozzle because the detail on it is just a little bit sharper. You can see a bit more in the beard, a bit more in the hair. Oh, a bit more in the, yeah, this is definitely the 0.2. No question. You didn't mix them up. There's a difference. There is a difference. Is it significant enough that I'm going to, advocate for switching to a 0.2 nozzle? No, because I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure that the increase in time between a 0.4 and a 0.2 nozzle is like significant. And it would take these prints from, well, if we're only printing the minis in 0.2, it might not increase it that much, but it will increase it considerably, enough that I don't feel that it's worth it. I like to do my printing at 0.15 millimeter layer heights because it's a good balance between the time that it takes to print it and the quality that you get out of it. Do you get better quality if you go 0.1? Yes, but it takes a lot longer. 0.15 for me is that breaking point between quality and speed. So am I going to advocate that? No, but it's really good to see that there is a difference if you look closely at them. So thank you, Javeron, and thank you for all of your flex formers. Those are a lot of fun. Couple of latecomers showed up just today, and since I'm still editing the video, let's go ahead and see what they have to offer. This one is coming from Baysingers, and again, if I can, I'll put a link to them in the description. I'm opening it from the bottom. Let's see how this goes. All right, there's a bag of stuff, paper, more paper, and a box. Okay, let's take a look at the bag of stuff. This is nice dark gray. I like the look of this. Let's get you out of the way. All right, where's the Mimic? Mimic's the only one I care about. Let's take a look at this. Hinged lid came out great. Overhangs came out great. And the teeth came out a little bit stringy, but otherwise, honestly, pretty darn good. It's a good looking Mimic. Minis are looking fine. Let's do the snap test. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's not quite snapping as satisfyingly, but that happens. Sometimes prints just don't do that. But then they snap really good. Never mind, that was beautiful. And snap, and snap, and the wall. Oh yeah. Overall, this looks really good. I think that this is actually a less than 0.15. This looks like a 0.1 millimeter layer height. Let's look at the details on the minis. Again, a little bit of stringing, but honestly, not bad. This is pretty good. This one's pretty good. CraftCloud is a distributed manufacturing platform. The idea is you send your 3D print file to CraftCloud and they find somebody with a 3D printer willing to print it for you. Now, what I found was interesting was that CraftCloud's price for printing the full set of this actually isn't too bad. And so potentially, if you did not want to pay whatever price I'm going to set for a full set of this, you could just buy the STL files and go through CraftCloud to get them printed, and the prices were fairly reasonable that way. However, because we're going through multiple different manufacturers, because we're doing this in multiple different settings, the minis must still be in there, I can't guarantee quality going through CraftCloud. This last one is from Herr Clemens. Yes, this one shipped all the way from Deutschland. And you might think that I'm not really interested in finding a manufacturer in Germany. However, keep in mind that this is not just about manufacturing these for consumption. For me, I would like to consider the possibility of having manufacturers all around the world so that the manufacturing can be done locally to you. If you wanted a set of print-a-block, I would love to get one to you regardless of where you are. That means having a network of 3D printers all around the world. And at this time, I don't know of anybody who's doing that as a service. So for right now, it pays for me to know a couple of people across the borders. So let's see what Germany has sent to me. Ah, here we go. All right, these are the terrain pieces, so these must be the minis. Did them in white PLA. I didn't specify the color. People could have chosen whatever color they wanted. White is a bold choice because if there are any imperfections, those are going to show up even more in white. But honestly, I don't know what white this is. It looks almost matte. It looks like there's... I'm fascinated by this piece. It's really interesting. It almost has like a fuzziness to the feel. It feels almost chalky. I don't know, but let's see how it snaps, okay? It's the snap test that matters. Ooh, okay. Ah. Okay, that's not bad. This strange chalky matte plastic snaps together really well. All right, let's see how the minis turned out. All right, let's go straight for the Mimic. That's the one that matters. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay, the Mimic did not hold together. It came apart. It almost looks like... Oh, that's interesting. I'm beginning to think that this isn't FDM, that this is some powder-based 3D printer, hence the reason why it's powdery. And I think what happened was whoever prepared the print took these three parts and printed them separately because I can't get them back together. They didn't fall apart because the tolerances of the print were off or they were printing too small or anything like that. These printed separately, and consequently, this whole piece just will not go back together. Okay, this is an interesting problem because it's an embedded print and they did not embed the parts. This is fascinating. This is an interesting thing that now I need to look at and go, okay, in the future, you know, don't separate these parts. Now, I sent all of these in one STL file. So it makes sense to me that they would say, we'll take all of these parts and break them apart and space them out properly. But I wonder if this process is capable of doing embedded hinges with the same tolerances that I put in the FDM prints. Well, we won't know from this print, but let's take a look at the other models. The details on them are looking really good, really spectacular. It's interesting to me that the layer lines are still present, but less so. It doesn't look to me like there are no distinct layer lines. I can still see a kind of grain moving through the whole thing if I look at the flat sides of it. Let me turn it sideways and imagine that it printed this way. Maybe that's... No, you can definitely feel that everything went this way, but I couldn't count the layer lines. This is interesting, and I thank you very much for sending this to me, because it's a fascinating study. Now, why have I got two knights now? I don't know. I got two knights now. We'll figure that out. Wow, wow, those look good. But there we go. There is a option from Germany using a printing process. Wow, this is heavy. When I picked this up, it felt like picking up a chunk of stone. I look forward to checking that out. But there it is. Wait. Oh my gosh! And this is why I don't celebrate my birthday just on one day. It goes the entire month. I was cleaning up the video, which I normally do after a couple of days, because I want to make sure that I don't need to get any other footage. So while I'm editing, I leave basically stuff up. Now I'm cleaning it up, and what do I find? One more box. So we're going to do this one just like this. So this is Voxelite, and let's see what their offering is. Oh, I feel like that one's got the stuff. There's some mass in there. Let me make sure. Yeah, there's no mass in here. All right, here they are. Crinkly. This is the best part. Who doesn't love paper? Wrapping paper. Ooh. First of all, I have not been collecting maker chips, so there's Voxelite's maker chip. That's very cool. But look at the green. This is like, I've never had my parts printed in Army Men green, but look at this. All right, the only one that counts is the Mimic. Let's see how a green Mimic looks. That's a good looking Mimic. Those are beautiful overhangs on that part right there. They look fantastic. But those overhangs, it's time to do the snap test, so let's go. That's all right. And here we go. Ooh, yeah, baby. But there we go. Thank you, Voxelite. Let's get that edited into the video. A lot of really great options for getting PrintAQuest manufactured and sent out to people around the world. Here's the thing. We are, as I said in the previous video, living in a very interesting time where there are forces attempting to make it difficult to move product across borders. And those forces are resulting in manufacturing trying to move domestically, in the United States particularly, but elsewhere as well. I foresee this coming. But the thing is, a lot of people are trying to do this the way that it's been done in China and elsewhere. Why are we trying to replicate the processes that have been supported by decades of built up infrastructure in China, when what we could be doing, what we should be doing, is looking to the future? What's the new technology that we can scale up and figure out a way to make this at manufacturing scale levels? And what advantages will we find from doing that? I have said for years that I think that 3D printing is going to democratize manufacturing. And here we have an opportunity to explore that possibility. How close are we to having this happen? We'll look at the options that are available. Sure, there are some options that are kind of fine-tuned for other models and other processes, but then there are these ones that could just do anything and can produce them quickly and get them out to a lot of people all at once. I think there's a lot of exciting opportunities to explore here. Well, now I have a whole lot of options to consider here as far as who do I want to go with. I'm going to have to take a look at these. I'm going to have to discuss a little bit more with the individuals who sent me these, but I'll put links to all of these in the description. So if you have a 3D printing project that you would like to get done, maybe you should contact one of these people and propose your idea to them. All of these were much better options than what I had the first time around, and they all look spectacular. You're not going to go wrong with any of them. Well, that's it for this video. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I want to remind you that you are a child of a loving Heavenly Father. He cares about you, and you're special to Him. So you're special to me, so take care of yourself. And if you can, find somebody else to take care of. We all need each other. I'll see you next time.